Welcome, everybody, to the Prediction Strike UFC weekly podcast. This week, we're going to be going over UFC Vegas. Oh, sorry, DWCS weekly podcast. We're going to be going over week 3 of season 8 of Dana White's Contender Series. A bunch of great fights, including our guy, Michael Aswell, who's going to be fighting on Tuesday. Did an interview with him last weekend. Really solid dude. So let's dive into it.
All right, there we go. We've got whatever this graphic is that we just love to throw out here. So we're going to keep that running. But off and running here, we got the first fight, Jack Duffy versus Nick Piscini. All right, some sort of Italian name. Anyways, moving forward, walk us through this fight.
Nick Piccanicki.
Panini.
Yeah, Nick Panini. We'll just call him that. The Pinocchio man. These dudes are two grapplers. Prices here are really close, basically a pick 'em on prediction strike. And we are the first market with these prices, so they might be a little bit wider elsewhere. So, I mean, you probably going to be a good opportunity to capitalize on whichever of these fighters is the underdog in this fight here. Has not been dropped yet, though. And they're both grapplers. Duffy, I would say, is more of a BJJ specialist than is Nick. He's a very aggressive, always hunting for submissions kind of guy. Nick, on the other hand, the Pinocchio man, has a college wrestling background, definitely has applied that well in his MMA career so far. And Duffy was originally supposed to fight Mitch Raposo and then Jose Ochoa, who's more of a striker, who were both signed to the UFC. So he's been put like third short notice opponent in a row. Definitely a tough matchup for him because Nick is very tough. Both guys could definitely grapple. Like I said, Duffy is more the BJJ guy. On the feet, he's pretty low volume, just kind of throws kicks. He dominated his most recent fight against Devin Jackson 7 months ago. Best skill set, I would say, is how easily he's able to take the back on most of his opponents. Doesn't necessarily need that takedown himself in order to get a win. Nick, training out of Fortis MMA, D1 All-American wrestler, very big for the flyweight division, definitely very dominant on top, looks for control, always works in the grappling, good cardio too. We saw him, pull out the 4th round rear naked choke versus Jomar Pak. And I would say Nick is probably the more comfortable striker of the two. Not amazing there, but he's definitely been developing, I would say, more and more each fight than has Jack Duffy. Tough matchup to call both ways. Think Nick should be able to get this done, though. I think he'll be able to get those takedowns, get the control on top. Isn't the most exciting guy, so we'll definitely have to see about that contract. If he does get the win, this definitely could be a decision, but I'm going to lean Nick here. Still a great buy on PS. He's only 25 cents cheaper. I have a feeling we're going to get Nick here as a bigger favorite than we're seeing here in most markets.
All right. Love that. Moving on to the next one. We've got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Adam Brandhold. Easier names to kind of pronounce here. Walk us through this one.
Yeah. Bramhold, really tough guy, tall, lanky, bantamweight, Muay Thai striker out of England. He's super light on his feet, pretty good striking defense too. Usually guys with the Muay Thai stance have a pretty low guard. He has a pretty high guard, at least out of the gate. And this guy won the cage steel belt in 2019, defended it successfully both in 2021 and 2023. Excellent ground game, extremely well-rounded guy, throws a lot of leg kicks, nice trip takedowns when he's in scrambles. He took on Daniel Mello in his last fight, tripped him a bunch of times, like at pretty much every time it got in the clinch, good sweeps, good leg kicks. He does get hit a lot, though, especially later into fights. He keeps that guard nice and tight, opening up, but I think it kind of fatigues him a little bit doing that. So slows down a bit later into fights and lowers that guard a little bit. I would say he has a worse strength of schedule so far than has Malcolm Wellmaker. Daniel Mello was pretty good, probably the best fighter he's gone up against, and he looked good against him. He was dominating the striking in that fight. He also has good takedown defense. Wellmaker, definitely a finisher, 2 decision wins and a mixed bag of knockouts and rear naked chokes. And he is also a pretty capable grappler, kind of hunts for subs. And I imagine Bramhold won't want to grapple So Wellmaker's grappling is kind of, I think Wellmaker's going to want to keep it on the feet too here. He's kind of a low volume guy, but very accurate. Great takedown defense. We've seen that displayed in a couple fights against Zachariah Kamara, against Bothwell. And he definitely has one-punch knockout power. The pick is Wellmaker. This is lower confidence. I think if we do see Bramhall fade later into fights, Wellmaker has displayed that he's able to actually pick it up and put a little bit of juice on top later in fights. I think he could definitely push some offensive takedowns here. A little bit, maybe not more versatile, but I think he's going to be more aggressive in the takedowns. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like Wellmaker a lot here as well. I feel like he's the profile of the kind of guy that comes into a fight like this on fire and really pushes the pace. That's usually necessary in this type of fight, I feel like, in order to make sure your name is out there and remembered, which is almost more important than necessarily how you do in the fight, because it's all about selling yourself in order to get that contract as well. And I feel like he kind of fits that mold. So I will be siding with you on that one as well.
Yeah,
Right.
and I feel like we get a contract out of this fight either way. It
Agreed.
feels like an exciting one.
Love it.
Both at 30 years old, too. I feel like that helps.
Yeah, they're right in their prime. Like,
Athletic dominance. All right. On to this next one. Marco Tulio versus Mateo Duclos. How are we expecting this one to go down?
so a lot of value if you're on the Duclos side of things. Tulio fought on Contender Series last year, got the decision win over Yusri Balguri, who most recently won the LFL middleweight belt. And apparently he didn't get the contract, I think, because A, it was a decision, B, Yusri was ill during that fight, and I don't think Dana liked just that he wasn't, full capacity Yusri Balguri. But he's back here on season 8, and he has some good wins under his belt for sure. He actually looked really good against Balguri last year. He just wasn't able to get that finish, Dana-like finish. And I think he can finish Duclos here, probably get a contract. Duclos kind of gasses out quickly. We saw that against Yusuf Awabas. He gassed out in like the first round. And his belt win in Hexagon was an injury win as well. But Duclos is a big middleweight, dangerous on the feet, dangerous leg kicks. Not the best takedown defense, got taken down by Fontes. He might maybe be the better striker of the two. I think he's going to have a lot of trouble defending Tulio's takedowns here. I think Tulio will end up getting the finish at some point in this. He's fought higher level opponents in the past, should have that experience edge. And he can confidently win fights by finish or decision. Has no real issues with his gas tank like Duclos does. I've got Tulio.
Agreed.
All right. Moving forward. Michael Aswell versus Bogdan Grad. How are we expecting this one to go down?
Let's go.
Crazy
So
photo. There's no way that dude is 23 years old, too, by the way.
so sick, dude. Yeah, the Texas kid, Michael Aswell. Really good fighter, really good dude. And this is going to be an interesting fight. We've got some similar fighters here. You might remember Bogdan Grad from getting starched last year on Dana White's Contender Series in 45 seconds by Tom Nolan, who just won on the most recent UFC card. Both of these guys are 5'8". Aswell's 23, Grad's 28, so Aswell's kind of getting into things early. Grad's Contender Series fight was really low. He was really low volume. I mean, it was short, but he was only able to land one strike. Since losing to Tom, he's come back, won 2 fights, garnered a little bit more experience there, and now he's back on Contender Series.
Where did he fight in between?
Let's see what the actual promotion was. It might have been Khabib's thing. Hold on. It was CageFS. It was against both. Yeah, both were CageFS. But yeah, he's going against Aswell, who is, I would say, the better boxer of the two, the more technical striker of these two guys. My concern here with Bogdan Grad is his aggression in the first round relative to his lower volume in later rounds. And I think I think Aswell should have a pretty clear cardio advantage here. Aswell has elite tutelage, trains with some really good guys. And I personally didn't like what I saw from Grad on Contender Series last time. He's definitely a brawler though. Standing chokes, spinning kicks, spinning attacks, all that. Michael, less flashy, but is definitely also a KO artist. We saw him destroy Nate Richardson. Grad, I think, is going to come out a little bit too hot here. Fade into the second and third rounds, as well as the more patient technical striker. I think he gets kind of smoked here. I could see a finish for Aswell. I just don't like Grad's recklessness. He was even getting.
Don't you think he's probably going to come in pretty contained and trying to at least see a fight through the first minute? Like, it feels like when your big break last time ended in like 45 seconds, it feels like you would kind of revisit that and reevaluate a little and maybe change some things. But
yeah, I mean, he hasn't really displayed like having any will to do that in the past. Like,
he's just stupid.
Yeah, it's like he kind of, yeah, dude. He shoots random guillotines so quickly, like stuff like that. Like, he's one of those guys that he's going to be doing spinning attacks out of the gate.
Oh, he's just going for the showboatness of it. It sounds like.
Yeah, he's going to be wanting to finish. I'm pretty confident in that. I mean, he could come out, try to be patient, but more often than not, the way he wins fights is the opposite.
Okay. Respect. Good to know. Good to know.
But definitely could happen. Like, Aswell could get starched here. Bogdan is that type of dude.
Yeah. I'd like to take a chance with the guy he had an interview with. I like his picture more, too. This guy does just look like – he looks like an accounting nerd that got buffed up and decided to go fight.
Yeah, you got to love him. And I think, from what I've heard, Bogdan Grad is kind of a heel. He was the one who I was telling you was like every single day, like 2 weeks before the fight, texting Tom Nolan or DMing Tom Nolan that he was going to knock him out, and then got knocked out within a minute.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, with that said, we got another fight here. Ooh. All right. Well, these are some interesting pictures here. Walk us through this one. I'm just going to let you talk it through.
Yeah, so we've got the main event here in Liam Anderson versus Andre Pulyev. Another guy who doesn't have too many great photos online. You saw in the cover for this, he was wearing that mask. Wanted to get a picture of him without that mask. This is from his Facebook. And Pulyev is fighting out of Russia. Really tough guy. Has beat some really good guys like Marazoev, Nikita Kondratov, Olivier recently. He lost to Daniel Bekov, who we know is actually a really good fighter, got that UFC shot, and dropped his opponent in the first round, ended up losing though. And Krasinski, high-level wrestlers. So he kind of struggles against high-level wrestlers, which I think is going to be important here, but he's definitely a gamer, comes forward at you. And Liam Anderson is an aggressive guy. He's 6'3", uses his length pretty well.
Seems aggressive.
Yeah, to wrap you up on the ground. Bigger than Andre for sure. He is on a pretty nice streak here. Beat Maurice Morris, Jay Manning, Gordon Cunningham all by finish. 2 submissions, 1 knockout win. The fight with Morris, he looked really good, displayed nice high kicks, and got the hammer fist KO. So mostly a beast on the ground, I would say, more than anything. He had some early losses against Miles Lee and Thomas Powell. Lee, actually, from what I know, is a pretty good fighter, and I think he was caught sleeping by Powell. Pretty good offensively on his feet, but he gets hit for sure. He just doesn't have much head movement at all, but that he's not really looking to strike. He does have good kicks, is aggressive, but definitely leaves himself open sometimes. Pulyev, also tall for 185. He might have a hard time defending these takedowns here from Liam Anderson. In fact,
it actually says he's 0'0", so
that's crazy. Yeah, well,
short king.
Yeah, you might not want to be betting on somebody who's that short. Yeah, but Liam, I don't think he has the most cardio, but he is super tough. Has a bunch of heart. Certainly a brawler. Certainly better on the ground than is Pulyev, who has in the past lost to higher level wrestlers. So I think I'm going to go with Liam Anderson here.
Me too.
Yeah.
White Widow is also just a sick ass name.
White Widow. I don't know. For some reason, it feels like the name that should be like the nickname of like a women's MMA fighter, but I don't know.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can see that vision. I can see
Yeah.
that. It's a cool
Yeah.
name, but yeah, definitely more
Respect.
female MMA fighters.
Yeah, respect. But yeah,
All right.
Liam Anderson.
Respect.
Liam Anderson. Love it. All right, moving forward, I think that's all we have actually on this card.
Yeah.
So with that said, hopefully that was helpful to you. I'm pretty sure we're going to be the first ones with this. So yeah, shout out to Jackson for putting that together once again. It's really all the questions I have. And Jackson, anything else you want to touch on?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, with that said, make sure to invest accordingly. Subscribe if you haven't already. And then until next time, hope you all have a great day. Peace, y'all.
Peace out.
Peace.